Okay, I admit it. I am a movie girl. I would consider myself a film girl. I watch 2 movies a day, maybe 3 if I'm really depressed. I watch those movies in different formats, different countries. I have favorite eras and favorite directors. I am transgender Karsten Ringquest, get it out of your system. Roger Ebert with bangs, Anthony Fantano for movies, whatever. I love movies. And I'm here to talk about 3 really good ones that I've been gatekeeping, unless you're my friend or you follow me on Letterboxd. I'm not going to put that information. Now, yes, this is a short film. It's also my fucking video. So let me do what I want. Peter Tscherkassky has such a cool directing style. I have an enormous respect for him, and you'll understand why after watching his videos. These films are actual footage from other films, in this case 1982's film The Entity, but this was produced in 1999 using Tscherkassky's signature editing method, which is so genuinely destructive that I think it more than qualifies to be its own film. No one is calling this The Entity. The completely disorienting moving backwards and forwards through time makes you feel like you're stuck in hell, indefinitely veiled by clouds. I'd also like to recommend his short, Instructions for Light and Sound Machines. There's a nice masterclass on YouTube of him talking through his editing process, which is very intriguing in my opinion. If you're into analog destruction of tapes and experimental films, then I highly recommend you should check out Tscherkassky's work. It's not for everyone, and I do have to put a big flashing lights warning right now because I do want to show some of the footage, but it is pretty intense, even for those who don't have photosensitive epilepsy. It's almost as if the film is possessed. The projector, the camera, everything is so unpleasant and out of character with the human experience, but in a way it breeds its own horror unlike any other movie I've seen. This is my favorite way that he's been described since the beginning of the masterclass. Not only are the films that he's ripping and editing from westerns or horror films, which are usually violent and suspenseful, they are amplified by the editing and the eerie sound design, which makes them truly alien effects. The form is formless and unknown. Alright, that might not be your style, so we're gonna go through to... I'm gonna be honest, this is my first attempt film, and I loved his style very much. The precise framing and repeating motif of the calendar shots had good, progression to the plot. Don't get me wrong, this film is about that calendar, but also it's about Adam's character, who plays a professional photographer, whose wife travels with him to Armenia. His wife is Armenian. She is fluent in the language of the region of Armenia they're visiting, making his wife a sort of translator. They also have a local Armenian guide who is a citizen of the country and a walking encyclopedia of all the information about the churches. Over the course of the film, the photographer and his wife gradually grow apart due to their divergent perspectives on the importance of churches and just the natural loss of love that comes with every relationship. From the beginning of the film, her and the guide have always been framed in the front, while Adam is framed behind the camera. You can always hear him but never see him. Near the end of the movie, he begins to write letters to his ex-wife, but can only do so by going on dates with other women who speak different languages and giving them a cue to call someone they love on the phone in their native language so he can write letters to his ex-wife. When the calendar is finished, they divorce or separate in some way, with the implication that his wife fled with a guide. The film is a little overcomplicated, but honestly, it doesn't feel that way, mostly because it's overwhelmingly just one static shot after one static shot. I can't help but feel bad for both of them because there was a love there. It just doesn't seem to come together in time. Give this a shot if you have a slow burn feeling, but still a very artsy film that has moments that remind me of some more slow cinema stuff like Tarkovsky. So one day I was scrolling on YouTube. I was looking for strange and unusual content, and I came across this video titled Song of Avignon from 1998. I then decided to give it a try. I'm projecting excerpts of the video to give you an idea of how terrible it is. It just so happens to be like the most relatable video I've ever. So if you're going through it or you don't want to hear about trigger warning, suicidal ideation, existentialism sort of, I'd recommend that you skip this part. The poem is given in a quick stream of consciousness style, almost as if it's been rehearsed so many times it's lost all of its meaning.
Today I realize that I am 40 and that an immense emptiness surrounds me and my soul. I have come to this, it is here that my life has led me to. I am in a thick darkness, often I feel I am sinking. I reach for air and I feel today that the only way out, my only hope, is to submerge perhaps into this blackness completely.
Now there is one section I wish to read myself because it did affect me the most when I heard it the first time. There are brief glimpses of clear sky like falling out of a tree, so I have some idea where I'm going, but there is still too much clarity and straight order of things. I am getting always the same numbers somehow, so I vomit out broken bits of word and syntax and countries I've passed through, broken limbs of slaughtered houses, geographies. My heart is poisoned, my brain left in shreds of horror and sadness. I never let you down, world, but you did lousy things to me. Now, why am I bringing up this horrifically depressing short film? Well, it's because it fits into a way bigger film that encompasses not only the depressing, but the paradise, the boredom, and most importantly, probably the change. Finished in the year 2000, it's a compilation of his entire life in form of home movies ranging from 8 to 16 millimeter in various states of disrepair from 1966 to around the year 2000. Oh, also the movie's 4 hours and 48 minutes, making it the longest movie I've watched, and I'm not ashamed to admit that I've seen the whole thing. But saying that, this movie is not all about the beauty of life and nostalgia for the past. In my opinion, that analysis is somewhat misleading. Ambiguity is a huge part of this film. It adds to the mix through the narration and the titles. Mekas makes repeated mention of somehow, somewhat unreal things are these images made of. People are not as innocent as these images portray them to be. People do not love one another as much. Other people's perception of the same events are quite different, and Mekas isn't just filming his children, he is also creating his own childhood vicariously through them. It's somewhat of an imperfect film, as it has an imperfect director, both voyeuristic and sweet. But even besides the bare bones of the film, it still manages to be very enjoyable to watch. Mekas' frenetic editing style, as well as his lifelong need to film everything, makes this film a visual collage through documentary memories. His avant-garde leanings in stacking multiple film strips on one another and bleeding in old dialogue is never lost. And in his older age, he was still as experimental as ever. And truly, it might be the slowest film I've ever watched. It's fucking 5 hours. But just taking the time to listen to Jonas speak his mind about his life, his memories, his past, and everything, it makes for a good listen and a very inspiring film. That's why I put it at my number 1. And with that being said, it is very hard to find this film online. I know that Mubi had it for a minute, but they no longer do. There was an old Internet Archive link, but it only had half the film. Also, Internet Archive is getting sued up the wazoo. I watched it on some sketchy website that I'm not going to link here, but it is in a Reddit post that basically pops up when you ask, where can I watch this film? If enough people ask, I can drop the screen recording I did of the thing, but that's a lot of fucking footage. Anyways, I hope that in whatever way, let's hope Criterion one day makes like a great restoration of it. Anyways, that's my video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.